Hey there everybody, welcome back to another one of my budgeting videos. This is going to be my budget for my February 7th paycheck. Before I jump into the actual budgeting and math part of this though, I'm just going to go over my March layout really quickly. Now we all know I keep fairly minimalistic decorating in my budgets. I don't do very much with them, or I suppose I should say on my budget pages. So this won't take too long, which is why it doesn't get its own video. So my goals for this month are to make 2 line of credit payments. I get my tax refund this month. I believe it comes in, I think the email said I'll be getting it by direct deposit on the 10th, so it's coming soon. So I just put to use it wisely. I've already been going through different scenarios and ways to use it, and I haven't committed to one yet, but I'll make a video about that. And then don't overspend in the grocery category, because I keep overspending in the grocery category. So clearly I have a bit of a problem there and I need to rein in my spending. And I just realized I didn't actually fill in the month up here. So there we go. So here is my calendar. I've got rent, my 2 paydays, my cell phone is on the 15th, my SUV payments always come out the Tuesday after my paydays, my Visa has a due date of the 28th, my line of credit has a due date of the 25th. I do have a Neo credit card that I don't have on here because it gets paid off every single payday, or like when I do the budget from every single payday, whatever balance is on it, it gets paid off immediately. So half the time it doesn't give me a due date because they're so desperate for me to miss making a payment so that they can get some interest off me. They're just like, you don't need to pay. And then other times they give me a date. Like I do have one this time. I think it said somewhere around the 15th or something like that, but I'm going to be paying it off today anyways, so I don't actually include them on my calendar because they're paid off, like I said, every payday weekend regardless. I got my paycheck on Friday. Today is Sunday. As long as I do my budget on the same weekend as payday, I count it as being on time. So even though it is later in the evening on Sunday, I'm still on time in my world. I have stuck with the layout that I did last time, even though the stickers annoy me for rebranding some of these categories. So I have a sinking fund category, digital cash, food, which is groceries and household, transportation, Striker, he's my cat, and home. These are all, I don't really change the number amounts on these, like on this page in these categories, but not all of them are set in stone. So like the digital cash is set for physio because physio is a set amount that I have to pay per appointment, so I don't have an option there. These can all be adjusted depending on how my budget is doing that particular payday, but then some of them, like my RAV4 payment and my rent, can't be touched because those are very clearly defined bill amounts. So this is always, I think of it as like the best case scenario. So that's it. That's the entirety of my planner setup for the month of March, which you can see why it doesn't get its own video now. So February 7th, 2025 paycheck. Apparently I'm writing very messily today. Who knew? So I'm starting off with a balance in my account of $1,874.41. The first thing I do is I take out half of rent. And then the next thing I take out is Striker's money. Striker is my cat and he has money budgeted specifically for his expenses. I keep some of it digital and I keep some of it in actual physical cash. So the cash, I actually haven't moved any of his money out of the digital into the cash in quite a while. I never pay with cash for anything. So I keep contemplating moving it out of the cash and putting the cash into digital format just because it seems to make more sense. But right now the division is fine. So he has currently $117.17 sitting in my account. That is going to go down though because he needs a new harness. He did not gain weight because he is perfect and would never do such a thing. So clearly, for some reason unknown to man or science, his harness shrunk. That's the story that we're going with. It has shrunk and he needs a new one. We're going on a road trip in May, Striker and I, And he has a booster seat for the car that he wears his harness, and then the harness is kind of clipped to the booster seat, so he can move around within the booster seat, but he doesn't have enough leeway to get out of the booster seat, so he's protected when we're on the road. But like I said, his harness, I discovered the other day, it's quite a bit too snug, and I think a 13-hour road trip wearing one that tight is just mean. So we're gonna have to get him a new one. The next thing I'm pulling out is $266.72. My SUV payment will go out automatically on Tuesday. And then I'm going to pay myself. So my cell phone bill isn't $60. I put $60 on it every paycheck, and then that way I'm always a little bit ahead of it, and I actually have a credit sitting on the account. So whenever a time comes where money is so tight that I just cannot make a payment, I have enough credit sitting on my cell phone account that I don't have to make one. I actually have quite a large credit on there right now, and I thought it would be down lower. So I don't really know how that's working, but whatever, I'm happy with it. I'd rather have more and like a larger credit on there than less. So I'm not really too upset about it. The next thing I'm doing is my line of credit payment. So I make the minimum monthly payment on the line of credit with my first paycheck of the month. The goal every month is to make the minimum monthly payment. So currently for this month, it's $371.91 for every paycheck in the month. But so far this year, I haven't been able to do it because money is very, very tight. But I still managed to do it the first paycheck, and then I make whatever payment I'm able to make on the second paycheck. So we're already down to $408.61. My NEO bill is $47.52. Now this one is also confusing me a little bit because if I remember correctly last time, there were no charges on my NEO bill, which doesn't happen. Usually I have small amounts of charges every payday. So it's not too big of a payment, and I didn't have any, and I was like, okay, sure. I mean, like, I'm not upset about it. I'm going to assume it has something to do with February being a short month, even though that makes no sense. But like a day or two after I did the budget, I got a notification of a small charge going onto my NEO card, and it was like one of my reoccurring charges. Just because I don't think I've mentioned it yet this video, my NEO card is used exclusively for reoccurring charges. So my Disney Plus, my Netflix, my Apple Cloud, my donation to the food bank. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on there, but things like that, things that are recurring every month, and this way I can keep track of them. I know where they are. I can see if like they go up or change or if anything is wonky, and it keeps it off of my Visa, which is something I'm trying to do because for the longest time I had quite a large debt on my Visa. So then when I also had the recurring monthly charges going on to the Visa, it didn't matter that I was making payments onto the Visa. It wasn't making any difference because there were always these charges happening every month. So I took all the recurring charges and moved them over to the NEO card and then dealt with the Visa on its own, and it actually worked out really well. So now I'm keeping them on the NEO card, mostly just because if I didn't put those onto the NEO card, I would never use the NEO card, and this way charges go on it, I pay them off every payday, it looks great on my credit rating. So I just sort of keep them all on there. But then yeah, so after last payday, a day or so afterwards, I got some charges, and they were right, like they were correct amounts. I was like, oh, it's just sort of strange that they came after payday instead of before like they usually do. And and I kind of brushed it off, and I had enough money that I was able to pay them outright, so it was fine. And then now I've got $47.52 on the NEO, and I looked, and all the charges are correct. It's a higher amount than I was expecting. So I feel like maybe some billing cycles changed or something shifted a little bit, and so now they're more going maybe onto one part of the month versus being more spread out over the entire month. I'm not completely sure. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that and see if it's a trend or if it was just a February-March thing. My Visa, I am putting $50. Oh no, what did I do? This is why I shouldn't talk while I do stuff. Well, my Visa, I'll get ahead of myself while I'm fixing this. I'm gonna put $50 onto my Visa. I had a couple things that should have been paid from my cash envelopes, but ended up as charges on the credit card purposely. let me write this down and then explain it. Otherwise, I'm just going to get myself muddled. Is that right? Line of credit 408.61 minus 47.52. 361.09. Okay, so let me try to explain really quick. I keep taking detours from the budget. My apologies. I had some groceries that I purchased, just like 3 little items that I purchased at the store on Friday after work, and I hadn't done my budget yet, so I couldn't use my cash envelope money to pay for that purchase because my grocery category was already in the negative by $7 and change. So I charged it onto my Visa card knowing that I was going to be doing the budget and it would, like, I would be paying it back over this weekend. And then the same thing, I had $1.10 charge that should have gone to my miscellaneous, but same situation, so I charged to the Visa card. And then previously, like earlier last week, I had to pay $5.70 for parking. Now that one, the app that we use in the city for parking is linked to my credit card. So I'm leaving it that way just because it's easier than worrying about it being linked to any other card or trying to change it or anything. And I didn't pay it off immediately because I knew, like, that was on Tuesday. I knew I'd be getting paid this weekend. So it would all get like evened out in the end. But it did mean that I had 3 separate charges onto my Visa card that are all getting paid back out of my digital cash envelopes. This, the $50 I'm talking about that's going onto my Visa is for something different that is not getting paid out from the cash envelopes. I just have to pay it out because I purchased some stuff. I really need to stop using the Visa. I'm aware I need to stop using the Visa. I told myself I was going to stop using the Visa. Oh no, my pen. These pens are like determined to challenge me, I swear. Okay, let's try. But they're my BT21 pens, so they're my favorite. Nope. Okay, let's try a different one. There we go. So, $50 to Visa, leaving me with $311.09. Here's where things start to get tricky, and we're doing some creative math. Well, almost. I suppose we're almost there. $156 is going to my sinking funds. And then for my digital cash envelopes, it's $275.75, which clearly is a larger number than this. So this is really where the trouble starts. So $275.75. So I am negative $120.66, which is not great. So I was going to pull money out of my long-term savings because I didn't really know what else to do, and I figured I would pull out like 140, so I had a little bit over and I wasn't just like putting the account at a zero. But, and this is a one-time fix, I will not do this again. Somewhere along the way I have overfunded my rent category. So every payday I take out half of rent and then I move it over into, it's actually moved over into the same bank account that holds my tenant insurance just because I only have so many bank accounts that I can use. I'm with Scotia, there's a limit. So I figure they're both kind of householdy. So every paycheck I put $14 into my tenant insurance sinking fund. And into that same bank account, I also move over $650, which is half of my rent. And then like once a month, I pull out the money that I have sitting in there that's going towards rent to actually pay rent. Like it's just how I've always done it. It's always worked. It's been great. Somewhere along the way, I have overfunded it. And I've known this for a little while. I've just been kind of ignoring it because it's never a bad thing to have more money in there. I figured if I had more sitting in there, and whenever this house that I'm living in sells, because I rent the basement suite, the house is up for sale, at any moment it could be sold. I figured it gave me a little bit of money that I could, you know, at desperate times pull from to pay for like a deposit on a new place or something. Like I just was purposely staying ignorant of how much extra was in there because I didn't want to pull from it to use it for anything, because I wasn't really clear how I managed to overfund it in the first place. I'm thinking what it was is months where we had 3 paychecks. I don't just put money aside 2 of the paychecks. I sometimes do it for all 3 for like the full amount, so then I'm making an entire extra $650 payment that month into the sinking fund and then not pulling it out because I don't need to pull it out that month for rent. I think that's how it happened. It's not like I just have money floating around somewhere. And I'm not really so fussed about going back through the history of that account from like now back until the beginning of time to figure out exactly where the extra money came from. I just know there's extra money in there. So I did math, which I'm not going to repeat on here because I didn't actually write the numbers down. I kind of did it in the moment and it made sense. And yeah, I left no notes anywhere, not even for myself, which is not brilliant. But I have enough money sitting in the account that I moved my rent money over to that I could, in this moment, I could pay my tenant insurance, and my tenant insurance, just to be clear, is not due until October, and I can pay rent, and I have extra. So I'm doing okay. Not great, but I am doing okay enough that I can miss 1 payment into that account and it won't completely explode my ability to pay rent. So I am going to not move my $650 that I usually put aside for rent into that account. Instead, I'm going to funnel it back into this budget to make this budget work so that I'm not pulling money out of my long-term savings. It's a very long explanation. I hope it makes sense. You're just gonna have to trust me that I've done the math and checked it like so many times, and it is okay. And I'm not intending on using the entire $650. I will explain that as I keep entering data. So, plus $650 refund, half rent. So that's going to give me $529.34 in the account. Now, I also took a look at my Visa because I keep struggling to get the Visa back down to a 0 balance and then just stop using it. Every time I'm like, okay, like 1 or 2 more paychecks, it'll be paid off and then it's done. I don't need to worry about it. I screw it up, and I know I screw it up, and I know that's like a bigger problem I have to deal with for me, but for right now I want to get it to a 0 balance and then just stop using it. So I took a look. I already put the payments onto it, like that $50 that I mentioned up here, and then also the money that from like the cash envelope categories, like the $34.13, the $1.10, and the $5.70, those payments have also been made onto the Visa card. So I still owe onto the Visa card $56.37. So I decided to pay that. And now that means the Visa is at a 0 balance, or at least it will be once everything like syncs and processes and whatnot. So going forward, I'm not gonna have charges onto the Visa card that I'm gonna have to pay off that are taking a chunk of money out of the budget that I can't afford to take out. I think for a little while, I feel like I was doing pretty good at not using the Visa. There's a little bit of a thrill looking at it when you open the banking app and seeing 0 balance. I really enjoy that. So I just need to remind myself how much I enjoy that. And it'll be one thing if like I use it knowing that it's going to be getting paid off from the cash envelopes. That's fine, because sometimes things like that are going to happen. But I just need to be really a lot more conscious about actually using it if I'm not going to be able to pay off the money out of my budget, like to pay it off within the billing cycle. Like I need to. Now, having said that, my car has an oil change coming up this month, so some of this money will probably have to go towards that. Normally that would be fully funded out of my transportation category, but that did get depleted quite a bit last month. I'm in the process of building it up and it's got like $40 something in it. So I'm not sure if that will be enough to pay the oil change or not. My vehicle is still under warranty and I'm never really sure how much things are going to cost when I'm there. So I will use some combination of the money in the cash envelope as well as like money from here. Other than that, I do not intend on touching this money. This is not like a hoo-hoo, now I all of a sudden have money, let's go buy shoes or something. This is I had to do a desperate thing so that I could make the budget work. I did choose to use some of it to pay the Visa, and I will use some of it to pay the the oil change. But other than that, I want this money untouched so that next payday I can funnel it either back into the rent category so that I'm not taking out a full half payment from there, even though it can afford to have it taken, or I will funnel it into next payday's paycheck if I don't have enough money to be able to make it work. But this is not just like free and loose and happy money. It's also why I'm not taking it to make another payment on the line of credit or funneling it into my savings challenge. I am not using this money. I'm not counting it as being really part of the budget, except for like the amounts that I've already used. I'm going to see how much of it is left for next payday, because of course, like I said, some will go to the oil change, and it's serious money. It's not to be used for fun. It's to be used to keep the budget working, is what I'm trying to get at after all of that. So that is the budget. That is how it's working. I know because it has such a large number there, it looks like everything is really great, but it's actually not. It's one of my least happy budgets because of having to do this with the rent. But it just is what it is right now. So it worked. It is a one-time fix. I will not be doing this again, but at least like it does work, and that overfunding of that one category is coming back to save me a little bit. So I'm not like super upset that somewhere along the way I put too much money in there. Now let's do sinking funds and cash envelopes breakdown. This came too low, so I don't think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, no, I cannot put them there. So I'm gonna do like I did last time and put them on Post-it notes. Don't mind that. That is the fun of living with a cat. And what's great about this scratch, he wasn't even mad. He did that when he was in a really good mood. So, you know, animals. Sinking funds. Car insurance. Tenant insurance. Tech. Travel. Dragon boat. Presents. Emergency fund. Cash envelopes. Striker. Groceries. Miscellaneous. Fun. Physio and transpo. Okay, so car insurance gets 67, tenant insurance 14, tech 15, travel 20, dragon boat 0 for right now, presents 20, emergency fund 20, strikers getting 30, groceries 120, miscellaneous 30, fund 60, which I know seems high, but better to have enough money in there to actually cover the things I'll be doing than to go into a negative balance, because I end up doing them anyways, and I have things coming up. Physio 15, 75, transportation 20. So that is a 6, by the way. So sinking funds $156, which matches right there, and cash envelopes $275.75, which matches right there. So I'm going to put that right in here. And I'd already made a reminder note to myself to pay to the Visa $570 from Transpo, $110 from miscellaneous, $34.13 from grocery. And I did that, and it's documented in the book that I use for my digital cash envelope. So I'll show you that when I do the video for that. So this is my budget. I feel like this might be a very long video. I can't tell from my angle looking at the phone screen how long I've been recording. So thank you so much for sticking with me through all of it. I hope my explanations made sense to everybody. They make sense to me, and it's always a little bit of a surprise for me when that happens. Yeah, I hope if you were doing a budget, it's going well for you, that you haven't had to do like what I did and pull from a category you really didn't want to be able to make it all work. I just hope that it is working for you and everything is going well with your money journey. If you're like me and you're on a debt payoff journey, I especially hope that that is going well, because we all deserve to be out of debt and living a debt-free lifestyle. Thank you so very much for watching the video, following with me. I do very much appreciate it. I will talk to you all in the next video. Stay safe out there, everybody. Bye.